The U.S. Small Business Administration and the United States Postal Service bring you Delivering Success, focusing on the critical components of planning and research as tools to small business success. In this chapter, we meet Holly DiTallo, owner of the Scottsdale Education Center in Arizona, and Aaron Wolfson, owner of the Savvy Gourmet in New Orleans, who share their planning and research tools to build success. Holly, who received an SBA guaranteed loan to start her business, explains how she researches various marketing options.
To market the business, that's one of the toughest things at first, and it's one of the most important, of course, as to the success of the business. We tried a number of different areas. We tried going into the backs of catalogs. We tried for us looking at education, we tried directories, things like that. Our most successful, by far, our most successful marketing plan has been with direct mail. Sometimes as a small business, when we wanted to have a very large mailing list and could not afford the whole thing, we would go in with maybe one other business that's educationally linked and would send out things to neighboring areas. We had to identify our marketplace as well and then pick areas out of that from which we could mail. With using direct mail, when people would call and we asked where they heard of us, they would say, "I got this in the mail." It was a very easy way to immediately track it because we know exactly how much each letter cost, or the whole mailer per se, cost us to send out, and we knew exactly how many phone calls and registrations we would need to cover that cost. And so the minute it gets to that point, we just moved on and said, this by far is the best return because it went far and above the break-even point for us. Using yourself as a base for your research, I think, is very important. If you fit the venue, it's important to look through your own eyes at it and see if you would respond to your own marketing attempt. It's imperative that you know what you really want to do. It's imperative that you're looking 6 years ahead or 7 years ahead rather than at the next 6 months of your business. And to do that, you need a good mission statement. You need to really know where you want to be. And that's what we did.
Now let's hear how Aaron Wolfson uses market research and financial projections to strengthen his business plan. Like Holly, Aaron was able to start his business with an SBA-backed loan.
The two most important pieces of our business plan were the market research and the pro forma, the financial projections section. You know, the narrative, summary, and all that sort of stuff was important in order to articulate our vision, but really I found that most business-minded people, most banker types would sort of flip to the back and look at the numbers and see if we were being realistic in our projections. And because there was not a business of this nature existing in our area, we had to extrapolate from other businesses in different parts of the country, and we did a lot of analysis and a lot of study, but it really was just our best guess. I mean, as far as the business plan goes, we started working on it probably 3 years before we actually opened. The Food Network was certainly popular, and we mentioned other media attention and other outlets where food and cooking and coming together over food were certainly trending upwards. But it seemed to explode after we started working on the project, which only confirmed our suspicion that this would be a viable business and people would be interested in patronizing it. As far as research for the business plan and for our own benefit, there were existing models in other parts of the country that used some sort of educational cooking class to drive retail sales. I was able to speak with owners of those various businesses around the country. There is some limited market industry data for those businesses. So we were able to pull together some industry data, some anecdotal data from speaking with owners of these businesses. And then I also commissioned a market survey in the area to take a look at what parts of New Orleans would best support a business like this. And that research came back identifying several zip codes that had the kind of mix of people that we were looking for. And Magazine Street seemed like a beautiful place to put the business, so we limited our search for property just along Magazine Street. In the business plan, we projected a nice mix of locals versus visitors who would come in for the classes, and initially what we wanted to do was build a strong local base that would lend some legitimacy to the school. In other words, if you were coming to visit New Orleans and you asked your buddy who lives there, hey, where do you go take a cooking class? We wanted them to say Savvy Gourmet. So it would lend a sense of credibility. And also, we believe that coming together over food was important from a community standpoint as well as an entertainment standpoint for people coming to visit. So it was important for us to establish the Savvy Gourmet as sort of a community center. And all along, we really wanted it to be a place where people came and spent time and talked about food and enjoyed food and learned about food and had great wine and really enjoyed the experience. So we really wanted it to be a community business.
For more information from SBA on planning and research, click on the provided links. And for business tips, log on to the United States Postal Service at USPS.com/smallbiz.